Zintle, welcome to Life by Design and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Amanda. Such an honor and a privilege to be here. So how do the three work together?
The three work together, yes.
Yes. So, well, none of the things that I'm doing were things that I considered or things that I thought I would be doing. Honestly, when I was in high school, I thought I'd be an accountant. It's not just I was horrible in math, but I really believed I would be an accountant. However, throughout the years, I've discovered creative sides of me and things like that. So what came first was acting. Again, by coincidence, I guess you could say, or by design. Let's put it that way, rather. So I accompanied a friend to an audition, and I had to help her with her script, and then they picked me for the role. And from then, I thought, okay, maybe I should go to school for it. So I came to Pretoria. I studied drama for a year. And I believe that it is important to be skilled in whatever gift you have so that you can bring value to that gift. So I did that. And then afterwards, because again, we all know that acting, it's a bit of a struggle to get to be the big actress in South Africa, especially with so much talent in the country. So with that, I started speaking. And in that speaking, again, like I said, I value bringing more content and value to yourself. So I went to school for coaching, so that I could speak better, and have more value to bring to things I say. Then I became a speaker. And then from that, a friend of mine saw the notes that I wrote for everything I spoke on. And he was like, man, you should write a book. You come up with these things in like a few minutes. You should do a book. And I'm like, I'm not a writer though, I never felt like I'm a writer or have that personality of writers, because there's this image, of being creative and being a writer. So they were like, just give it a try. You have nothing to lose. And I was like, really, I don't. And soon after that, I had resigned from my job to build my career and my brand, I guess, as an artist. So I had a lot of time on my hands. And I'm like, you know what, since I have time, might as well write the book. So I wrote my first book on stilettos. Surprisingly, all three have been working very well together. And to my surprise, they actually are very connected.
Seemingly. And none of these three was something that you had aimed for, right?
No.
So let's just take it back a little bit. While growing up, Motherwell, Port Elizabeth, as a child, did you show any signs that you would go into acting or speaking? Because when you have this bubbly personality, larger than life personality as a child, or you like to perform in front of others at school, were there any things that were picked up during those early years?
No, I would not say that. I was very quiet as a child. Very, very quiet. As a matter of fact, no one would pick me for anything. I never played any sports. There was nothing special or wow about me. I mean, obviously there was. You could say that today, but in that moment, how I perceived my life is there was nothing really special. I never was that kid that danced in front of everyone or had the confidence that's larger than life. I was actually very, very timid, very quiet, very shy. Very embarrassed about myself for whatever reason, low confidence as a child. And I was really overweight, so that made it worse because I felt like I was the odd one in the group. And I was also abused as a child, so I think that played a huge part in me not trusting adults, not trusting groups, not trusting people. So I kept to myself throughout my whole childhood. So I don't think there were signs per se. But I do remember, though, in glimpses, because I don't have much memory of when I was little, I liked imitating people. But that happened once in a while when I was in maybe a happier mood, and I would imitate things that people do. Because I was quiet, so I was able to observe everyone. So I would imitate people's voices and the things they do. And people would be surprised, like, oh my God, this kid is just sitting here.
Right there, that was an indicator. That,
Yeah.
You have it in you. Were these famous people that you were mimicking?
No. It was my family members.
Was it?
But it was more like the things I thought were funny that they did, or maybe they were not aware of. So out of nowhere, I would just imitate it, and everyone would be like, oh my God, you actually sound like this person. So I think maybe that was the glimpse of that in me.
Again, as a child, did you allow yourself to dream beyond saying that you wanted to be an accountant? Did you see yourself doing something that somebody was doing that you looked up to?
No, I mean, even
that have any role models.
Even the accountant was when I was in high school. The reason being though is because I remember the first time I ever admired or wanted to be something or someone. It was in grade 2. It was standard B when I was doing it. So we did an essay where you had to write about your dreams and who you want to be and whatnot for a school assignment. So I went to present it. Like I said, I was very timid. So I went up front, which was scary for me. And I was presenting this. My mom had just gotten a job as a prison warden at the time. So I'm like, I guess I want to be a prison warden then. So I went up and I presented it, and my teacher, full on pregnant, leaned over and looked at me, and she said, "What did you just say?" And I was like, "I want to be a prison warden." And she goes, "You are shy, timid, and cannot even utter a word out of your mouth, and you think you can look after prisoners?" She was like, "Please don't be stupid, because you know you're slow. Go back and redo it." So from then, I didn't really have dreams or
So
aspirations.
that must have discouraged you then to actually see yourself as, anything that you can dream of. So I'd like to believe that as a young child, at that age, sub B, you would, that would stick with you. How did you shake that off if you were able to?
I mean, around the same time, because I was 7, around the same time I was being abused. So I don't think
There's a lot happening.
I don't think it really made a difference. I think it just added on to the mess that I believed I was at the time. So I didn't shake it off. I just took it in and be like, it's true. I mean, in my mind, I'm like, she has a point.
Yeah. And then now you grow up with that. You're timid, you're shy, low self-confidence, and you've got a background of being abused. How did it then break? Because I'd like to believe that if you accompanied a friend to an audition, some courage came out of you somehow at that audition, that you were able to be the person that they pick for the role.
When I was in high school, a few things changed around my life. I guess my surrounding and things like that. And obviously now the abuse had stopped at that time. So I was surrounded by a lot of love and encouragement. And my dad, Zintle Ncipa, he was really his larger than life personality and whatever. So I think I started drawing from him, because I spent a lot of time talking to him and whatever, and he's all about confidence. So whenever he would see me like acting weird, he would be like, "No, don't be like that. You have to be confident. You have to be this." So I think he started speaking life into me, and that life, I guess, resurrected the life that was always in me, but always suppressed by things that I was going through. So by the time that happened, I had a bit of confidence. And again, I started becoming involved in things and not afraid of people. I started not caring what people thought about me. So in school, I became the SLC president because I spoke up for people.
You became the complete opposite of what
extreme
you were
opposite.
As a young girl. Wow.
Yes.
I believe that your story now, as you're sharing it, it will help people that perhaps have a background of abuse. Some of them, maybe they've come out of it. Others, they're still struggling to come out of that. What kind of intervention did you get? Because I don't want us to just, brush through this. Because I know that these are quite common. Intervention was there professionally, if there was any, that you got that helped you to overcome what came with the abuse.
To be quite honest and transparent, when my personality changed and things changed, I still was not aware that had happened. So for whatever reason, my mind completely blocked it. So when I went to high school, I completely forgot about it. And then I remembered when I was probably 21. Literally out of nowhere, I remembered that this horrible thing happened. And I think then my mind and my body was ready to heal. So that's when I got the help or the professional help that I needed. One of the things that brought it up was going through life coaching school, because there's a part where it's self-discovery, you have to forgive and go through your mind and things like that. And then as I was going through that, I was like, oh my God, this happened to me. And I have to forgive and I have to heal. So but I allowed myself to go through healing. Yeah. I think that's the most important thing. Whatever decision or how you go about your healing, I believe that it's all designed for you, and there's one specific for you. Some people go through psychologists, psychiatrists, and things like that. But for me specifically, I had to allow myself to go through that healing, and I had to accept my reality. Until today, I have 70% of memory of what happened. Some of it is completely wiped out. So I had to accept that's my reality, and I had to accept my truth. And again, for me, my personality now is, if I need to heal, I'm going to heal. So I went and got close to people and became friends with psychologists, because I'm like, I don't need an hour session. I need like a whole day conversation.
Yeah.
So I became close to those people who have gone through it and have healed and have gone through the process. I started reading books on healing and recovery, and I listened to podcasts, I listened to videos. So I literally spent probably 2 years of making sure that I am okay.
Yeah.
And then after some time, I felt like I was okay, and I healed and forgiven the person that did it, or the people that did it. Now, you don't get over it though.
Of course,
Completely.
it stays with you.
It stays with you. So there's moments where I still go through like, oh crap, I went through that. And again, it sucks being a statistic of something bad. You want to be a statistic of being the top whatever in the country, not something bad. So that reality still kicks in, and I still have to bring myself back to, it's okay. It's okay.
Were you able to talk to anyone as a child, or this is something that you kept to yourself and only dealt with it later?
I kept to myself. No one knew.
No one knew about it.
No one knew at all.
Knowing what you know now, would you have told someone?
I don't know, because when I look back, if I go back to a child me, at that moment I didn't have a lot of access to information, and I didn't know what to do with that kind of information. And again, I don't know who I would have trusted to tell at the time. You know what I mean? Because circumstances were very different in that moment. However, if I knew information that I know now, yes, I would tell someone, because now there's more access to departments and places that you can go to share that information and actually get proper help. So, yes.
So you would tell someone that is perhaps going through that at the moment as we speak, to find someone that you can trust and be able to open up to, so that you can get the help that you need.
Yes, yeah. And it's actually never as bad as you think, because I remember thinking, oh my God, if I tell my mom this, oh my goodness, I don't know how that's going to turn out. And it actually was the opposite. And when I told the whole family, it was still the opposite of what I thought. In my head, for many years, I thought, they're not going to understand, they're not going to believe me.
They're going to blame me.
Yes. I think for me, the most scariest thing is, what if they don't believe me? I'm an adult now. So if they don't believe me, that's going to be hard for me to handle. And it was the opposite. They were so compassionate, so caring. They were broken by it completely and shocked that I carried this for many years. So I think it's just having a different perspective. I would say pray about it, or whatever you do to get yourself in the right understanding, and to get to a point of understanding that it probably won't be as bad as you think.
Exactly. Don't blame yourself. It's not your fault.
Never
Find
your
someone
fault.
to talk to, get the help that you need.
And the shame, there's a lot of shame that comes with it, and you have to deal with that, because a part of you, it almost as if you're broken.
Right.
And people can see that you're broken. I hated saying it in front of people, because in my head, they're going to perceive me differently. They're going to see me as someone different. You know, they're going to treat me the same, because now I'm this broken person that they have to feel sorry for, which is not true. It's completely not true.
All right, so after the break, we'll talk more to Zintle.
Hello, this is Tshofatso August Modiga Powers, and you're watching Living Life by Design with Amanda Machaka.
Back to Life by Design right here on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Yes, we are looking into the lives of people who are living their lives by purpose. And today in studio we are joined by Zintle Ncipa. She's an author, speaker and actress from Port Elizabeth in the Eastern Cape province of South Africa. And earlier she was telling us about, her background and how she overcame being this shy, introverted person to being someone that can stand in front of audiences and act and speak and do all sorts of things. And I find that to be so fascinating, very much indeed. And so tell us a little bit about your acting career. You said that you accompanied somebody who was going to audition, and then you ended up being the one. What did you do to make them divert their attention from your friend to you?
I think, one, I would like to believe that it probably came naturally to me than I knew back then. And two, again, like I said, I went from this personality of being timid and shy to not caring what people thought. So I walked into that room and I didn't care if there's a director in the room or so-and-so in the room, or casting, whatever, because I didn't know what those things meant and I didn't care about them. So my friend was very nervous, because to her, this meant something. And I guess that nervousness, and I don't know what she was going through at the time, I think it held her back. So I walked in and she was like, can you help me do the other lines? And I was like, sure. Again, I went there because I was bored. So I'm like, okay, great. At least I can have a bit of fun. So we did it, and when I was leaving, the director said, could you please leave your number as well? Which in my head, I thought, oh, she wants to, in case she doesn't get hold of my friend, she can call me, which is great. So this was a Friday. On Monday morning, I got a text message from them that said, you got the leading role as Tandeka. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's what my friend auditioned for. I mean, we were in high school, so she got a bit salty about it.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, great. I guess I could have fun.
Yeah. And then that's why then you decided, you know what, this is something that I think I should be pursuing. Let me study for it.
So when I was shooting New York, New Brighton, which was shot in Port Elizabeth, so during the shoot, I think he was like first AD. So the guy said to me, "You're really good. There's something there, but I want you to polish it so that you can be confident when you're doing it. Because now you don't understand what you're doing and how to do it and how to actually strategically do it. I want you to go to school for it because I think you can make a career out of it." And I was like, yeah, sure thing. Obviously, I was not going to do that because, again, I wanted to be an accountant because my parents told me.
You still wanted to be an
Yes,
accountant?
because my parents told me I'd make more money from it.
Okay.
So I got a role for a play that was, again, done at the Opera House in Port Elizabeth. So when I was doing the play, I was like, man, I think I should do this. This is actually, this comes good to me. And again, I was frustrated with exams at the time, and I was not doing that great. So I'm like, maybe I should do this because this comes more naturally to me.
Now, when you start considering that, what kind of talk did you have with your parents who maybe were liking the idea of you being an accountant?
They loved the idea of me being an accountant because one, it's a job that you can pronounce without going, well, I mean, you
and
know.
one that a parent can be proud of,
Yes.
say that my daughter is an accountant. Yeah.
When you say actress, they're like,
Yeah.
is she poor?
Yeah. What roles we should be playing?
You know what I mean? So when I told them, they were not liking the idea very much. They wanted me to have something to fall back on. They didn't think I would succeed or make money from it, to be able to make a living from it. I think to some degree they were very frustrated about it. But I was excited at this point. I was sold. I'm like, I'm doing this and I'm going to succeed in it. And they're like, but you're not going to end up on Generations. And I'm like, what if I do?
Yeah.
Because at the time that was a big deal.
Yeah.
So eventually, towards the end of the year, towards the last year of my high school, they said, you know what? Go do it. Because again, we don't know what God can do for you. We don't know where you might end up. So go give it a try.
So you got their blessing.
Yes.
You might not have not been on Generations, but you were on Rhythm City.
Yes, I was.
Tell us about that. How did that come about?
I actually auditioned for Rhythm City 2009, which was when I was still studying drama. And I think they were just still starting out. And I was like, man, I need to get on the show. And it never happened.
Yeah.
Which
when was this? Who did you like? I want to check at what time of the show that you really wanted to be part of it.
I'm trying to remember. There was Abu Sbu, I think, at the time. I don't remember who else was there. Some of the people that are there now, they were still there back then. But it was still like raw, gassy kind of stories that they were telling. So, and they're still musical. It was very musical back then. So I went and auditioned and two of my friends got in and I didn't. I wrote about that in the book, that I'm very grateful that I didn't. Because, again, like I said, I only found out about things that happened to me, things I need to heal from later on in my life. I believe that the industry would have been very destructive for me had I made it then. Because I needed to know who I am and what I want and who I want to be in the world and what stories I want to tell. And be purposeful and intentional about the things I want to do before I can get that kind of exposure. So that would have been really detrimental for me at the time. So I thank God that didn't happen then. So later on, I come back, I audition, I get the role of Ukamo, which was the same year I moved to the US. So I started then, and then I got the opportunity to go study. So I made the decision that it would be better for me to go further my studies. But yes, I enjoyed being on the show.
Now, here you are doing something that you finally fall in love with, and you're on a big show like Rhythm City, and then you go and pursue studies in what?
In biblical counseling.
Exactly. completely different. How did that come about? Yet another, diversion.
Crazy, I know. I mean, right before that, I went and studied neuroscience, which is very scientific and very logical. Kind of almost, people say it's the opposite of what biblical studies would say, but I found it to be very connected. So after I studied that, and then I was in Rhythm City, at this point I was in a pursuit of, there has to be more to life, man.
In a pursuit of purpose.
Yes, there has to be more. And again, it was not, because I got the role and I also did a movie, but it was not, it didn't give me what I thought it would give me, the satisfaction that I needed. So when that opportunity came for me to go study, I was like, heck yeah, I'm taking it. Because I want the more. And I believe...
But one would have thought you're going to, New York Film School.
That's what everyone thought I was doing, actually. All of my friends were like, I'm a Christian. I believe in the existence of God. I believe in the assistance of the Holy Spirit. So that is what transpired it. Again, because there was a lot of confusion, I was exposed to a lot of things. Again, as a Xhosa child from the Eastern Cape, there's Nyanya, which is ancestors, and that belief and all of those things. I wanted to know what I wanted my reality to be and what was true and real for me. I was never much exposed to the ancestral side of my African belief. I was always exposed to Christianity. But then I wanted to know the realness of Christianity. And again, not because I go on Facebook and people say it's not real, it's fake. I wanted to actually study
a personal experience.
So I went and studied it, theology, the history, the realness of the issue, the physical evidence, actually the scientific evidence that proves the existence of Christ. So I went and studied that. And for me, that is the best decision I've ever made in my life. Because now I don't care if people say, oh, it's not real, it counterfeits our African beliefs and whatever. I don't care because I know the truth. And besides that, there are things that I still believe are true about the African culture. Because again, there are things that we demonize as Africans, which are not demonic at all. But there are things that we believe, which again contradicts what Christ says. So for me, I believe what I believe and I know what I know. Because again, I've went and done the research. I've even studied books that are written by atheists, just so I can understand
their
the
perspective.
Truth. Yes.
So how did that move help you in your quest to find your purpose?
It solidified firstly my identity, which I think is the key to unlocking your purpose, is to find your identity. I thought, because everyone talks about it, live your truth, and they even change their voice when they do it, say it, live your truth and be truthful to who you are. But what does that mean? Be authentic. What does that actually mean? So for me, I went and found out my true identity. And it's small things, when you break it down, is what do I like? What do I not like? What makes me me? What do I value? What is my priority in life? So that move helped me identify those things. And again, I've always known to be a South African child, but I've never seen myself as an African child, a continent child, as a child of the soil, and be a true African and understand what that means until I left the country. Because when you have everyone telling you that you're from Africa, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm from South Africa. No, you're from Africa. And then there's these things the comments that they say, which make you have to find yourself and be confident in who you are. So that move helped me in that. And then unlocking my purpose was, now what story do I want to tell? Honestly, it was great because I felt as if I have a chance to rebrand and restructure my life and be whoever I want to be. No one knows who I am. No one cares about who I am, actually. I know that contrary to what is on the media, most Americans genuinely don't care about any other continent but the American continent.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was like, man, so who do I want to be? What stories do I want to tell? What kind of personality do I want to have? What kind of mentality do I want to have? And that unlocked my purpose as, you know what, I want to inspire, I want to encourage, and I want to help people align to their purpose. Despite whatever they've been through, whatever they know, whatever they believe, or limiting circumstances or situations that they might be in currently. But I would love a generation that believes that they could be whoever they want to be and do whatever they want to do. And if they believe that they could succeed, they have that capability, and also resources will come and all of those things will come to get them to that place. So yes, it really played a huge role in discovering my purpose.
Find that in a foreign land, in a land that didn't necessarily believe in you, and I believe that's where your speaking, career came out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was there, I spoke for the first time, and there was a lot of souls and souls in the room, and I was really nervous. So I spoke, and after I was done, one of the people that I highly respect came up to me, and he said, "You belong on TED Talk. You are great." One thing I love about Americans, they are really interesting. However, they're very affirming. It's very different from being in an African ground. For whatever reason, we're afraid to let people know that they're great and that they're amazing. It's almost as if
To lift them up.
yes, there's always that battle here, but it was the opposite there. If you did great, you did great. Americans would tell
They
you.
will let you know.
Yes. If you did not do that great, they will also let you know. So that affirmation and that encouragement and that build up, and they opened opportunities for me, which is again is another thing that doesn't really happen much. So they made sure that I got the greatest opportunities and all of those things, which was amazing. So that's where my speaking grew. That's where I grew more confidently, and also had grew the skill of speaking. So yes, that's where I grew the most.
All right. So let's talk about the last part then. You being an author, you're an author of 2 books.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the first one. What was it all about?
The first one is called On Stilettos. I wrote it. I was 22 when I wrote that book, and it was more about discovering yourself and finding out who you are and what you want from life. It was also geared towards women. I believe women are precious, so I use the stiletto shoe as a metaphor to represent, because when you wear a stiletto shoe, you feel high profile, you feel confident,
The posture
yes,
changes.
everything changes.
Yeah.
So I use that as a metaphor to talk about how women are and how they ought to be. So that's what that book is about.
And then we also have While I Wait, I'm Preparing to Win.
Yes.
That's probably your journey.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes. It's that's a very personal book. Very,
Yeah.
very personal. If you want to know me and understand my journey and how you can learn from it, that book, it definitely gives that. While I wait is I discovered this mostly happened when I was in the US. Like I said, I lived there the past 3.5 years. So a lot of things were happening, going really well for me, really, really well. Confident, and I'm succeeding, and I'm speaking, and I'm doing all of these amazing things which I never thought I would do, having great platforms which I never got in the country. So I'm prospering, but there's certain parts of my life which I felt were stagnant, and I've been praying about and believing that they're going to change, but they were not changing. And for me, that didn't make sense. I'm like, why can't I just get everything going well? Why is it that there's certain parts that I feel I'm stuck in? And that's what I write about is, okay, so I had to get to a point of, I had to stop being frustrated and crying about it and complaining about it and being upset about it and trying to force issues which were not working. I had to get to a place where I said, okay, while I'm waiting for these other parts of my life, I'm going to prepare so that when I get the opportunities presented to me to do those things that I've been waiting for so long, I'm going to make sure that I'm great at them. And I'm going to make sure that I win when I get there. So now I started looking at different parts of my life. I'm like, okay, I've been waiting for this, and I'm going to prepare for it. So I use now different examples of people that I encountered of. For example, people have been waiting, who are married, have been waiting for years to have a child.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare? You start going to kids' orphanages and taking care of kids and loving on other people's kids and making sure that you share that love until to a point of which you have your own kids. So a breakthrough in a musical career. You start taking lessons online. You don't have to have money to do it. You go on YouTube, you take lessons, you practice, you sing at home parties and things like that until you get that opportunity of breakthrough. So that's what I did for myself, and that's what I advise other people to do. Even with writing, you can write on your phone until you have a computer to write on.
So you prepare yourself so that by the time the opportunity comes, you know what to do.
You are the person they pick. You are the person they think of. I'm prepared so much for everything in my life that when people think, man, who would be great for this? I want them to think, Zintle would be perfect for it.
All right, we've run out of time, but I believe that now that you're back in the country and you have your books out, you are booking, you've been booked as a speaker, are you going back into acting?
Yes, yes.
Okay, you want to talk about it or no?
Not at the moment. However, people can go on my social media and I'll be giving updates there. There are a lot of things in the pipeline which I cannot reveal at the moment, but they're very exciting.
What kind of stories would you like to tell, though, through your craft?
Stories about confidence, being an African child, being a woman, challenging, exciting stories about real issues. Those are the stories I want to tell, real issues, and give solution to those real issues, because it's pointless talking about them and expressing them through your craft if you don't have a solution at the end.
So you would say that all of the things that you're doing, being an actor, being an author, being a speaker, are all speaking to your life purpose right now,
Yes.
which is to.
Inspire and to encourage others to live their full purpose.
Thank you so much. So where can people get hold of you?
On Instagram, it's Zintle_Ncipa. Also on my website, which is zintlencipa.com. And on Facebook, Z Zintle.
Okay, so can you spell Zintle Ncipa?
ZINTLE_NCIPA.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Quite an inspiring story, quite a beautiful journey, and I'm sure our listeners are inspired as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this time, and thank you to everyone at home. Hopefully they get inspired and they get up and do something purposeful for their lives.
What I like is the fact that you wanted to create your own life the way you understand it. Our payoff line here says that you are the architect of your life, and you did just that. That, you know, this is what I want to get into as Uzintle, not someone telling me that this is who you are, this is what your life is about. You had to go through a process of finding that for yourself. Quite inspirational indeed. And so this has been Life by Design on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Let's connect on Facebook, Living Life by Design. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at living_life by design. And remember to also check us out on YouTube. It's Living Life by Design with Amanda Machaga. So from myself, Amanda Machaga, producer Zintle Ncipa and Mbongiseni Choma, thank you for listening. Till next time. And remember, you are the architect of your life.